Hello everyone, and welcome to Training Tuesday, where we go through regular tips and tricks to help you build a professional life you love. This week, we are talking about scarcity mindset, which is essentially that thing in the back of your head that makes you feel like the world is pieces of pie and there are only so many slices. And it is also the thing that tends to encourage people to think about keeping their options open. And we're going to talk about that today and why that's a bit of a challenge, because I think this is something that comes up for a lot of people in many, many different ways, right? So it's for scarcity mindset, we feel like there's not enough, there's never enough. People might feel it in terms of money, potential partners, right? In the dating game, people might think of this in terms of career opportunities. Of course, that's what we're talking about today. But as a result, because they feel this way, their actions come from a place of lack, and that has some impact. And that's what we're going to share a little bit about and give you some teaching on what it is, why it's not helpful, and what we want you to kind of remember instead, because I think this is a really important thing for a lot of people, regardless of what way it's showing up in your life. So as I said, obviously we're talking about it today in terms of career opportunities, because that's the type of scarcity mindset I see the most in my day-to-day job as a career clarity coach. And this is something that tends to come up when I get to the stage with clients where we start narrowing down all of their potential options of things they can do. So when I work with clients, we do all of our big picture mindset work. Then we go into all of our interest mapping, figuring out what we like, what we don't like, what that means about us, work on our purpose statement. And then based on that, we start to use that as our framework for making career decisions. And so once we get to this career decisions phase, we sit and we get everything out on paper that is our kind of potential routes forward, as we call them, the many different ways that we can go. And when we get to this point, I hear from many of people this sentiment that like, oh my gosh, there's so many things on the list in front of me, and like I'm so nervous to kind of settle on just one, because what if there aren't opportunities there, or what if I start looking and I don't find anything, right? And this is so common. We resist making any single one decision because we feel like, oh my gosh, that means I'm like really putting some skin in the game and saying out loud that this is what I want, and that's scary. And this is where that problem is, right? Because this action, I guess, comes from a place of lack, we try clinging on to every single potential thing because of the fear that we're going to come up short and we're not going to find what we want. And so we keep all of these, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this, as our comfort blanket that, well, I have a lot of options, right? We think those lot of options are actually doing us a favor. In the end, they're not. The not so good analogy I use, but maybe it's good, I don't know. In Harry Potter, any Potterheads over here? In Harry Potter, in one of the books, I don't even remember which one, there's some imagery of like him standing in a room of doors trying to find which door Voldemort's behind. And so he's like, which way do I go through to find him? But at some point he makes a decision and tries one of the doors, right? And that's what you have to do. You can't just sit at the room of doors forever agonizing over the decision, because then you're surely not going to find the answer to it at the end of the day. And I think this is an important thing to like be intentional about making a door and choosing it and all of those things, and knowing that you can decide again and you can come back to these things. So in that vein, I think it's really important to understand what's actually behind the scarcity mindset. And ultimately what it's all about at the end of the day is ego protection, right? Because it's a lot more comfortable for us to say, oh, I mean, I didn't really want that, or it doesn't really matter whether I get that opportunity or not, than it is to say, oh my gosh, no, I really wanted that, and I really put myself out there, and gosh, isn't that so gross and vulnerable that I just admitted what I wanted and I didn't get it, right? And so it's truly an ego protection mechanism. For any of you who have not read it yet, Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. Coincidentally, I have it on my desk still because I'm a desktop hoarder. But it is a great book, and she actually talks about similar concepts of right, limiting vulnerability in this way. And I think that's kind of what this is as well, is it's the ego protection of, well, I didn't really want that, so no problem. And truth, at the end of the day, it doesn't really protect us that much, right? At some point, we're still going to feel vulnerable. We're still going to feel uncomfortable if we don't get an opportunity, even if we didn't want it that bad or didn't put all our eggs in that basket or didn't hedge our bets. So instead, I encourage you to start shooting for fewer great opportunities than a million not so good opportunities, right? That in general, when it comes to looking for jobs and all of these things, is a better thing to remember, because you can certainly get like a stepping stone job to pay your way. I'm not saying to put all your eggs in waiting for the perfect job. That also doesn't work so well. But get something to fund you in the meantime, and then take some time to think about intentionally what you do want and actually go for those things, because this scarcity mindset, this acting in fear, this trying to keep your options open is doing you no favors. It's leading to confusion. You're keeping too many options open, and so you never really decide what you want. You sometimes take bad opportunities because I just have to take something, right? You make those decisions out of desperation and lack, and you confuse people, because all of your lovely friends and coworkers and all those people who love you and want to refer you, when you say, I don't know, I just want any job, it's a lot harder for them than if you're specific and you know exactly what you want. So that is my reminder for you this week. Remember, the world is not pie. There are not an infinite amount of slices, or there's not a finite amount of slices is what I mean. There are so many opportunities in the world, and it's okay to say no to what's not a fit so that you can get more of what is, okay? So that is my reminder to you this week. Give me a thumbs up if on this post, if you can relate to the scarcity mindset, if it's ever come up for you. I know for me, it's a big yes. I know for most people I know it's come up in some way or another. Give me a like if this does resonate with you at all. And of course, if you need any help with this or any other mindset junk when it comes to your professional path, you know where to find me. This is what my favorite thing to do is, day in and day out, okay? So let me know if you need some support, but that is my lesson for you this week. It's not pie, people. In the meantime, happy working.